and welcome back to another video. So after my last video, which was actually quite challenging for me to talk about and to record and share with everybody, I was amazed by the responses and the comments. It seems like it really resonated with some of you, and I really appreciate that you left comments actually telling me that it resonated and that you were going through something similar. So it really shows that we are never alone in what we're going through, and there are people out there who understand and have walked this journey alongside you. So it is great that we can share our experiences and learn together as a group, like as a community. So I really encourage you all to continue to do that. I just wanted to thank you all for the feedback from the last video and for making me feel less anxiety about sharing my story. So to follow that up, because that was mostly just me telling my story, a part of my story. So now I want to follow up with a 3-part series. That's going to be how I personally managed to get to the next level. Like, how did I heal my energy and find balance? I also want to share what types of resources I was diving into that really helped me in my relationships. This could be for your personal relationship with yourself or with your romantic relationships as well. Because when we think of relationships, we often think of just our romantic relationships, but relationships could mean anybody that you're connecting with, including yourself and your workplace and your friends and your family. So all relationships can be affected in a positive way by the resources that I'm going to share with you today. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Hi, I'm Davia, and here we focus on a healthy mind, body, and spirit. So if that's something that you're interested in, click the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell for notifications every time I post a video. So in this video, which is part 1 of the 3-part series, we are going to embark on a journey through the books that have not only reshaped my understanding of relationships, but also fueled self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're navigating the complexities of love and relationships, or seeking to understand yourself, or simply just trying to become the best version of yourself, then these books are going to be an invaluable tool. They were for me, at least. So let's explore them together. Book 1. This one is very common. You guys are not going to be surprised, but I highly recommend this book as a read, not just a concept that you've heard other people talk about. And that is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Now, the reason why I recommend you read the book instead of just understanding the 5 love languages themselves is because there are different examples of clients that he's worked with and how these concepts worked in their relationships. It was really relatable, especially with the last video, how I talked about my divorce. When I was reading this, I was able to understand where things really did go wrong when it came to this concept with the love languages. We all express love differently, and we need to receive love differently. So it really breaks down each one of them in a way that you can really understand them to the root, not just, oh yeah, I love gifts, like gifts make me feel loved, but getting to a deeper understanding that and helping your partners how they can really get through to you. Like, maybe it's not just gifts that you need. Maybe there's something about the gifts, like it has to be a thoughtful gift or something like that. Reading the book will really help you on a deeper level. And this has helped me because with my current partner, we have very different love languages. So sometimes it's very confusing. And there was a little bit in the beginning where I questioned a lot, like, do we feel the same way about each other? Because I don't really feel like he's putting as much effort as into showing his love as I am. But that's not the case. It's that he's showing it differently, and he's feeling the same way that I'm feeling because we're not understanding each other's love language. It's not reading the same. So once I read this book and was telling him about it, and it was intriguing to where he wanted to understand more, he would ask me more questions. And we really got to understand why we were miscommunicating in this way. So this book will really help deepen your relationships, and not only your romantic relationships. This is one of the ones that will help you in all of your relationships, with your friends, with your family. You know, I have a friend who I know acts of service is a big thing for her. If she needs help with something and I'm willing to stop what I'm doing and help her out, then she feels so much gratitude. So understanding that is great. I'm more quality time, like spending time in person and personal touch. So I'm like a hugger and she doesn't really like hugging. So, you know, we have different love languages, but that's okay. I understand these things. This is really important to know for all your relationships. The next book is a really good one, and that is Why Men Love Bitches by Sherry Argoff. And this book threw me off at first because of the title. I didn't like the title, of course, because we have these limited beliefs, and I'm like, men don't love bitches. Like, that's ridiculous. But I didn't give it a chance. So finally, after hearing so much about it and reading the reviews and just doing the most, because once you believe something, you just continue to affirm those beliefs until proven otherwise, basically. So finally, I was like, okay, let me just give it a try, because I've been choosing not to read it, even though it's been recommended to me for my particular challenge. And I just didn't want to read it because I felt like it wouldn't apply to me. But this book literally applies to me. Like, she wrote it for me. This book for me was really empowering and just teaching me as the nice girl to have some self-respect, set boundaries, show up as the best version of myself in my relationships, but without losing myself. And that is what I've struggled with my current relationship in the early stages. I completely lost myself in the relationship, and it could have been a way of recovering from the version of me that was in the marriage and that I got divorced out of. That version of me was very different, where I set ridiculous boundaries, and you know, I don't think anyone could have met my expectations back then. But then I got into this relationship and did a 360 because I chose a partner that was a 360 from my ex-husband. So it caused me, him being more of a dominant and more male in his masculine, it caused me to be very confused because I didn't really understand my feminine energy just yet. So I turned into a nice girl. And there's nothing wrong with nice girls. You know, if you feel like you're a nice girl, that's perfectly fine. But for me, because of the way I was navigating it without really understanding, then I found myself in a lot of tricky, challenging situations where it was hard for me to say no and, you know, set boundaries when I didn't like something. So this book just really helps you understand how to show up as your best self. And again, not only in relationships or dating, this could be in your regular life, like even in the workplace. If you want to get that promotion, you know, just be like, oh, I really feel like I deserve it, is not going to always get you there. Sometimes you do have to show up as your best self, put your foot down, and say that you deserve that promotion because of whatever qualifications that you have. And it might look different than just sitting back and hoping for the best, which is, you know, what I used to do. I would never ask for a raise or promotion. I would just be like, well, if they want to give me one, then they will, but I don't want to ask for it. I feel like that's rude. So, you know, there's just different ways to navigate life. And there are cheat codes. This is one of the cheat codes. Learning how to thrive in your feminine energy but knowing the way to do it and being super nice and not setting boundaries is not the way to do it. Just like how they say nice guys finish last, I honestly believe that nice girls also have the potential to finish last. Not always, of course. It's never set in stone, but that was my experience. So now I'm learning. It's been helpful. After reading this book and understanding a lot of the concepts in there, I am learning how to stand up and be the strong, empowered woman that I always have been deep down inside. Just needed to understand how to harness the powers. This is also for someone that is looking to boost their confidence and to ensure that your needs and desires are not just heard, but met respectfully. So I highly recommend this book to everybody, even if you feel like you don't need it. It is so funny. So I think it's a good read because it's informational and it's also entertaining. The next book is Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. This book was huge for me. Once I read it, I just felt like everything made so much sense. Like I had a clearer view of not just like my future, but also like a better understanding of myself. So this book explains, it's kind of like an introduction to attachment theory, which explains how our childhood experiences shape our adult relationships and how we show up in our relationships as adults. By identifying if we have a secure attachment, an anxious attachment, or an avoidant attachment, we can understand how we navigate in our relationships and how to break certain cycles. We gain insight in our relationship patterns and in our cycles that might be holding us back. This is a great book if you want to understand your emotional habits, improve your current relationships so that you can show up better in them, or choose better partners in the future. If you feel like you're choosing the same type of guy every time and you just can't like find the right one, but you keep choosing the same people because of your attachment style, this will really help you understand the root and hopefully push through that. It really talks about the importance of emotional compatibilities and how to cultivate secure, resilient connections. Once I understood that I had an anxious attachment style, I was able to use that language and dive really deep. So this really was the introduction for me. And then I hit to YouTube, found some videos that resonated with me about an anxious attachment style, and then also about my partner's style, which he's a combination between anxious and avoidant. Understanding that and being able to research deeper into it on YouTube or on the web was really helpful to understand how to navigate towards a more secure attachment. So now I have been able to take those tools and recognize when I'm being triggered and my anxious attachment style is starting to get fired up, and I can view that part of myself curiously and choose to say or do something different than what my anxious attachment is telling me to do. It might be telling me to do something to get attention because I feel like he's pulling away or something, and I can understand where it's coming from and choose to do something else because that's not what is necessary or helpful in the relationship. I don't need to get attention by doing something that might be immature or viewed as immature, at least, because that's what this part of me that might be wounded still from my childhood or something. You know, it's hard to kind of go into detail without like breaking down specific examples, but I can tell you that my anxious attachment style definitely makes me always feel like people are going to leave and I need to hold on to them as tightly as I can so that they'll never leave me. And if I do everything for them, then they won't have a reason to. So understanding this was really helpful for me and for my partner. And once he understood that also, and once I understood his attachment style, then I actually had more compassion and empathy towards him when he would do certain things, because I'm like, okay, I see, I understand now. And this is not to put titles on things and to make people's behaviors okay. It's not that you're saying, oh, well, because you have an avoidant attachment, it's okay that you do X, Y, and Z. That's not what it is. It's so you can just have a deeper understanding of somebody and be curious and be compassionate. Because if you're not, then you're essentially saying, hey, I don't understand it and I don't like it, so get away from me. That's not really fair, because we don't want people to do that to us. If somebody looks different than you or has a different culture than you, you know it's not the best practice to say, well, I don't understand your culture. I don't want to understand it, so I don't want to be friends with you. Instead, you'd be curious, like, oh, wow, like you do things like what? Why do you do it like that? And you just kind of want to understand them a little bit more. And then when they do something that you might think is weird, then you can say, okay, I understand why they do that, because they grew up differently than me. So I can have a little more compassion towards, them doing this weird thing or, whatever it is. So yeah, hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say, but this is not to label, and this is not to make excuses for people or for yourself. Don't use this as a way to scapegoat and say, well, I'm doing it because of this reason. If you are having a deep conversation and you're saying, like, I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and because of my childhood experience, then I believe that it has caused this trigger to happen. So now I recognize that I have this thing as a trigger. So when you say or do this, it triggers this. That is a very common conversation between me and my partner now. When one of us is triggered, once we calm down and we talk about it, then in a relaxed way, we have a very calm conversation. There's no arguing. It's just, hey, can we talk about what happened? And then we kind of break it down to the best of our understanding of ourselves. That's really helpful for us to say that, hey, when you did this, it triggered this because of this. So I'm just letting you know. That's not to say you can't ever do that. I just wanted you to know what happened and let you know that it's something that I am working on or looking to understand deeper about myself or to heal. So yes, you can use this information to your benefit, not as an excuse. The next book, which I loved so much, was 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. I love Jay Shetty. He always offers such philosophical, insightful information that is timeless. So a lot of times he uses information from ancient texts or ancient histories. I love his philosophical and scientific approach to a lot of his teachings in both of his books. His first book I actually talked about in my other video about books, which I will leave in the description below if you want to check that out. In this book, Jay provides, like I said, timeless wisdom, but also with practical advice, which will challenge you to view your relationship with the lens of growth, understanding, and compassion, which is kind of like what I was just saying in the last bit, like about how me and my partner will have these conversations and try to talk about growth and have compassion for each other, even if we don't agree or understand. Just viewing it from this lens instead of the lens of I'm hurt and I want to say whatever comes to my mind and hurt you also because that's just how I'm feeling right now. It's just a better way to view things when you can zoom out and view it from this lens of, okay, how can we turn this into an opportunity for growth and become better? So he helps with that and helps you to just have a more sustainable relationship, because things are just not always going to be peachy. They're not. So this is really helpful. He has 8 rules in his book that he dives into, and these rules range from the beginning, which is loving yourself, into letting go of expectations, because that's never helpful, except we all do it. So, but how do you do it? You know, these are the kind of things that you might need a little bit more of a deep dive, and then it just helps you get to a deeper, more fulfilling connection with people. I really recommend this book for people that are also not in a relationship yet, because if you are on a self-love journey, this book is really helpful, especially in the beginning and in the end of the book, which I guess means you got to read the whole thing. But there are some parts that just really are so invaluable for people that are on a self-love journey to help you with understanding and loving yourself on a deeper level. If you are in a relationship and you're just looking for a way to find that love within you that just like uplifts and transforms you to being the best version of yourself, then this is also really helpful. This book just made me feel like there's hope in the world, that, you know, love conquers all, and that we as a human race can really do better to love everyone, and how that is the most healing medicine. So I just loved it. It's an easy read. I actually did the audio and the physical book as well, because I wanted to be able to refer back to some of the things, because he does dive into concepts like your fighting style that I wanted to be able to look back into. And there are also some exercises that when I was listening to the audiobook, I wanted to be able to go back and do the exercises, which might be like journaling or a short meditation. So different things like that, which is really great that there is like homework basically that you can do. So it's not just like going in one ear and out the other. Highly recommend. And I will go over some of the concepts in all of these books actually that I've read in part 2, the next video. So it's a sneak peek into what part 2 is about, which is like deeper concepts within these broad topics. Next is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray. This book really helps you understand that men and women are different. We're different in the way we communicate. We're different in our emotional needs. Just even the way our brains are wired is so different. So this really helps bridge that gap of misunderstanding and really helps you understand the opposite gender a little bit better. Reading this book really helps embrace those differences between men and women and pave the way for greater empathy and stronger bonds. Even though this book is tailored towards people that are in relationships, you can still use the information to navigate other genders in your other relationships, because it offers tools for more clear communication and mutual respect. It's a classic read for anyone looking to foster harmony in your relationships. This book was so funny to me because I just could relate to literally everything he was saying. I was just like, yes, oh my gosh, you understand me. So I think it's so funny how men and women just communicate so differently, and how we just don't understand that. Even though we know that men and women are different. Like I see two books on my bookshelf, The Female Brain, The Male Brain. I could literally, maybe I should do it. I could literally open up the first page of the book where it shows the brain, and our brains are different. We're not the same at all. Let me do that actually. So as you can see, the brains here they look the same. But when you read into them, it tells you which parts are different. Like in the female brain, it says that the anterior cingulate cortex, which is, I don't know, somewhere in the middle. Number 1. Can you see that? Number 1 right there? It says that's the part that weighs options, makes decisions, and it's the worrywart center. It's larger in women than in men. So women are naturally more likely to worry than men if the part of their brain that weighs the options and worries about things is larger. So when you're freaking out about how you got to pack for vacation and your partner is just like chilling on the couch watching TV, and you're like, how can you be relaxing right now? You need to be packing. We can't forget anything. Like all of that, it makes sense. Our brain is wired that way. And let me see, for men, their number 1, which is the medial preoptic area. This is the area for sexual pursuit found in the hypothalamus, and it's 2.5 times larger in the male. Men need it to start an erection. So the area in their brain for sexual pursuit is 2.5 times larger than women. No wonder. So we're different creatures. We are not the same. It's like saying a dog and a cat are the same, even though I guess it's not technically the same as that because anyways, you get what I'm saying. I really enjoyed this read. It was super funny to me and it was so helpful. Like after reading this book, I just had a newfound understanding for men in a way that I felt I could navigate. Not manipulate, but like get what I want because I knew how to ask for it in a way that men will understand. So it's been really helpful. I mean, if I could drag my partner in front of the video camera, he will tell you that whatever changes that I've been making within the past like year or 2 years has been really helpful. He actually said this to me the other day. He said that what I've been doing has been really helpful in not only the growth of our relationship, but in his personal growth journey as well. Because one, I believe that it sparks their desire to change and to grow because no one wants to get left behind. So when you are on your self-growth journey, your partner, it almost like forces them to jump into it too, because they'll get left behind if they're still stuck the same version of themselves who's just like in lack and not getting better, and they see you getting better, then sometimes they're just going to get jealous and try to pull you back down, and sometimes they're going to try to catch up. So I believe that this has been helpful for both of us because we're both on this journey to kind of pull each other along further and further, and it's not going to be like that for everybody. So don't expect that, oh, well, I'm doing the work, so my partner has to do it too. And if he's not, then there's a problem. Yes, there could be a problem later down the line, but honestly, just keep doing you. And there's a big chance that he's going to start to be inspired by the changes that you're making. And actually, I believe in the 5 love languages, Gary Chapman talks about that. So yes, read these books. I promise you won't regret it. And if you've read any of them or have questions about them, you can leave them in the comments below. I am happy to answer questions about books. I know that reading is a time investment, and time is money, and it's invaluable. Like, we need all the time we can get. So I get it. Like, when people recommend books to me, I'm like, I gotta really see if it's worth my time. So I would love to answer any questions that you have about these reads. If you really want to know if it's going to be helpful in your situation. So yeah, leave any questions down in the comments. I really hope that these books inspire you as much as they have inspired me. Each of these books offer a unique lens and tools to navigate your relationships, like in your romantic relationships and with yourself, your personal relationship with yourself, providing the tools that you need to grow into the best version of yourself or your relationships. I'd love to hear which one of these books you're super excited about and which ones resonated with you. So please share in the comments below, and let's continue to grow and discover new things with each other. So if you have any books that you recommend on some of these similar concepts and topics, please also leave them below. I would love to add some more books to my library. Keep loving, growing, and exploring the depths of your heart and your relationships. So until next time, bye.